Imagine being a person taking a bite out of a dairy product and all you can think about is going to the restroom and having the runs or even terrible gas. I mean, this is a pretty hypothetical situation, but some people actually have to deal with thinking about this when it comes to dairy products, especially if you're lactose intolerant. Today I'll be talking about what the causes of lactose intolerance are, its treatment, and who is affected by it. I'm sure many of you have heard about lactose intolerance, but you're not exactly sure about what it is, or maybe even know someone with it. Let's first talk about what lactose intolerance is. There are many possible causes and symptoms. First, it occurs when a person is incapable of digesting lactose, which is the primary sugar in milk, due to the lack of the enzyme lactase, which is from the Gale Encyclopedia of Children's Health, Infancy through Adolescence. There are different types of lactose intolerance. First, there's primary, which is when a person develops it after a point of time. They eventually develop it less as they age. Secondary, which is when a person develops it from medications or illnesses that they have, but eventually it passes. And congenital, which is when there's that very extreme rare case when a person actually is born without lactase. The causes of lactose intolerance could be from diseases of digestive systems such as celiac, fruit, or gastroenteritis, injuries to the small intestine, which causes lactase to be active to digest and break down lactose, and or it could occur naturally when less production of lactase occurs after 2 years of age. Symptoms of lactose intolerance are nausea, cramps, diarrhea, bloating, and gas. These could occur 30 minutes to 2 hours of daily consumption. And you can see right here the small intestine, when it comes in from your mouth and then digested, and it goes into the small intestine, that's when the lactase is active, and then it goes into the colon and the rectum, and you all know where it goes after that. Yeah. Okay, now that you know about what causes lactose intolerance, let's talk about possible treatment. People come up with multiple ways to cope with lactose intolerance. There actually isn't a real treatment, since there isn't a way to develop how you could produce more lactase to develop to break down lactose. So in alternative ways, people usually alter their diet and limit their intake on lactose-filled products, such as dairy products. And other people take the other alternative, which is to take lactase supplements, such as the chewable lactase tablets, such as lactase, and the liquid form of lactase, which you put in your food. With the chewable lactase tablets, you would actually take that before you consume food with lactose in it, and with the liquid form, you would actually put that in your food. Now that we know about the cause and treatment, let's talk about who is affected by it. In fact, millions of people are affected by lactose intolerance. About 75% of adults worldwide are affected by it. There's 30 to 50 million Americans that suffer from lactose intolerance by the age of 20. And around the world, the Asian population, almost 100% is affected by lactose intolerance, with the symptoms found around 5 years of age. There are also Native Americans who are affected 80%, Blacks 70%, which have symptoms that appear at 10 years of age, and Caucasians that receive lactose intolerance are 20%. Okay. In conclusion, today I've talked about the causes of lactose intolerance, its treatments, and who it affects. As you can see, many people are affected by it, so I hope that you would be able to recall this information if you encounter someone that has it, and that you'll know more information about it.
So Kenny, what did you think?
I thought the presentation was a good presentation. She explained how the slides of the human body and like how it affects the lactose, like what it does, and the treatment is the slide on the treatment of how you can prevent it. I thought she could have talked more about like why these people cannot break down the sugar lactose. Overall, I thought it was a pretty good presentation.
All right, that's kind of one of the things I was thinking also. I thought that you had a lot of good statistics on the different levels of lactose intolerance that are found around the world and about particular age groups. What I wasn't quite clear about is do they develop the enzyme that allows them to digest properly after a particular point? Do they lose that enzyme at some point and that's why they develop it at 5 or 10? Are there some ethnic groups, for instance, that have it less than other? I mean, you had that listed, but I'm trying to figure out why. What is it about them? What is the characteristic that's missing? Is there some explanation or a theory as to why that occurs? So I think I needed a little bit more information on that. The visualization that you had at the beginning I thought was okay, maybe a little off-putting with the consequence that you refer to right before you get to the thesis statement, but it's okay. It makes its point, and it clearly IDs what the topic is. Your thesis is fine. I thought you had a very good preview of what the content was going to be. It's pretty well organized. It's topical in nature, and they're good signposts and transitions. I especially noticed the summary, kind of the internal summary between the second and third point that kind of reminded us where we had been and where we're supposed to be going here. The visuals are satisfactory, although I think you could explain a little bit more, like that image of the internal sections of the body with the all the different parts of the colon listed. You make one reference right at the end of the small intestine, and I think something else explaining how the enzyme or whatever it is that we're supposed to have to allow us to digest this appropriately is produced or gets into this particular spot, or a little bit more explanation of that. It just seemed like wallpaper for the most part instead of something that's being integrated into the speech. The other the visuals are okay. We got the two different forms of assistance or treatment that you mentioned there. I thought you did a nice job talking to the audience, and you've got some incidents and events that you're talking about, and there's good data. You, for the most part, seem to have done a good research on this. I just think it's a little incomplete in places where there's some more information would be helpful. All right, thank you.